Good evening, or well, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are from. Welcome along then to round 6 of ISRL's Division 3. And here we are then in Singapore after 2 rounds in North America. We travel to Asia then. Of Division 3. The division currently dominated by one driver, that being Synchro, 43 points out in front. So all looking very good for them at the moment. But with 10 races to go, all can change. As we head then into a very tricky track then, 23 corners around Singapore. Very difficult in terms of overtaking. Usually done through the 2 DRS zones. And strategy, particularly the undercut, is incredibly key here. Expect drivers to lose out on positions for staying out too early. We'll see how it will all play out as we watch the Ferrari of Darren R420 then. First out to the scene, their teammate right behind them as well. That will of course be Rusty Oilcan. This track is incredibly, well, like many street tracks, this is an incredibly tough one, known as Monaco on steroids in some cases. Actually, no, it's back, apologies. Singapore has its own fairly unique challenges. You can see the barriers close by as well, if drivers make errors. Now 420 making their way across the outlap. They're all out on the soft tyres, barring Mike Oxongden, who is going to try the medium tyres for the Alpine team. In this 16-minute qualifying session to determine who will take pole position for round 6. Will it be the championship leader, who has had a few struggles in qualifying recently? Or will it be someone new? Wild Dog is always a favourite, very quick driver. We will see as well as R420 then makes their way through the first few corners to start their flying lap. And let's put some nice clear air out in front with such a long track as well. The odds of you running into cars is limited, but that obviously depends on where you are out on track. And this DRS zone will probably be the main overtaking point throughout the race. Not many other opportunities to really create an overtake. There's Darren then, going very neat and tidy at the moment. Hits the apex slightly there, but all fine. And here was where originally the Singapore sling was. I must admit I do miss it, but we'll take what we can get there. R420 goes a little wide through that chicane. Maybe just to avoid the curbs there. Now through the hairpin and onto the third DRS zone. Even though there is DRS here, you're not going to really find many opportunities to overtake here, purely because the back straight there might help with the cars getting closer, but other than that, not so much. And it really does expose the problem of these F1 cars, their inability to follow each other through or follow closely, as R420 hits the barrier there and he scrapes it, but I think it's all okay as they head through turns 21 and now 22 and 23. Here's the first flyer then, 139 flat for the Ferrari. Here is Rusty Oilcan then. I mentioned Oilcan is in a Ferrari, that's an Alfa Romeo. There's only one Ferrari here because Freefall is not available here. Oilcan does a 140.0, but Mike Oxong on those medium tyres does a 138.9, which is immediately beaten by Stanek, who goes 8 tenths a lap quicker. So, see different times here. Where's Victor going to go? Victor goes second fastest, half a second back. Next will come the Aston Martin of Westy. And now they go fastest into the 137.9 for them. Next I think should be the championship leader actually. We'll see where they go, but they have invalidated, so they're going to go again. So we now look to the McLaren of Fallen Monkeys. see where they can pop that papaya McLaren. And the answer is sixth fastest, a 1:39.1. Wild Dog and Jav have both invalidated, so the Haas car's struggling initially, as is Otto, so both Williams as well having got a pain to them as well. ISRL Hartman then in the sister Mercedes. One Mercedes in third place. Where's the second one going to go? Goes ahead of their teammate in third, so Mercedes third and fourth at the minute. Otto back into the pits. Wild Dog then once again. But 26.7 for the first sector. Oh, and a spun as well. And they are out of it. They've knocked the suspension. I imagine the rear suspension was the one that got the hit, but that ends Wild Dog's qualifying then. Unless anybody else has an issue, they will start dead last then. Not ideal for them, and a lot of work to do. So Wild Dog, the first driver to retire from the session. Synchro then going for a second attempt. Or maybe not, they're going back into the pits. Potentially didn't have enough fuel or wasn't happy with the lap, who knows. What about their teammate then? Not sure if they're on a lap here. Might be. I think they are. Oh, goes a little wide through the tunnel. Car just wants to understeer that. Neat and tidy through those few corners into turn 21, and now you have then their first lap time and up to fourth place for them. Two AlphaTauris out on track as well. Just keeping an eye on them. Hartman returning into the pits. We see the Alfa Romeo of Oil Can making their way back out onto the track as well. As we watch then the AlphaTauri of Vapor. The white and bluish helmets making their way for their first lap time as well. And Mike Oxong seems to be the only driver who has done a lap on the medium tyres, and as I say that, Michael Furious has just come out of the pits on the mediums as well, but the rest choosing the soft compound tyres. 26.7 then for the first sector for Vapor. It looks very neat and tidy at the moment. See, they're using the entire width of the track there as they turned in to the left-hander. Now through the chicane, bounces through there. But all neat and tidy at the moment. Onto the hairpin. Very tricky because you're turning in right and you've got to brake immediately. The braking zone is almost blind in a way. 104.2 then for the middle sector. Not a bad lap here from the AlphaTauri as Synchro, or is that, no it's not, that's Jav gets out of the way. There's only one Haas out on track. Victor is back out as well for Mercedes. A few coming out as well. Stanek back out as well. We will try and claim back that provisional pole that they lost. As Vapor then to cross the line. They're now the ones on provisional pole. 1:37.3. I said it was a good lap, and it was indeed a really good lap then, as their teammate has invalidated. So not ideal for them. Stanek then. They want to take pole position. Needs to, or provisional pole, sorry. They need to find a good 9/10 of a second on this lap, which can easily be found given the length of this track, to be honest. It's shorter tracks like Austria, for example, where you can really struggle to find that amount of lap time. So we'll see what Stanek will do on their second attempt. Should have enough time for a third one as well. And they can dive back into the pits, refuel, and go again. With just 8 minutes to go. And already up 3/10 in the first sector alone. So already a good run here for the Red Bull. Let's see what their middle sector looks like. Good aerial shot then of the Red Bull as it powers down into chicane. This is where I think a lot of drivers will find time, depending on how cautious or aggressive they are into that. Down the DRS straight then. And braking down into about third gear. Use a bit more width there. Be surprised the white line here doesn't really define the track limits. And I missed what the improvement was in the middle sector as well. So apologies. But so far looks neat and tidy. Stanek continuing to push then. They run over the curbs of 20 and 21. Stanek then. Where can they slot that Red Bull? The answer is back on provisional pole. First drive into the 136s then. And a huge gap then. 6 tenths or 7 tenths clear out there for them. As we watch the Mercedes of Victor down in 7th place. Otto as well, we should mention, has moved up to 3rd place on the medium tyres. That's good for them. They've definitely got pace as well. Quite a competitive grid, to say the least. There's the gaps between them. Seems dominant by Stanek, but drivers are finding a lot more time as Victor moves up to 3rd place then. Good stuff from them. Synchro now on the medium tyres this time around. Oh, what a spun! Rear tyres might have been a bit too cold, but either way, Synchro's not having the qualifying they would like. They have struggled in qualifying recently. Whitson then, trying to get a lap time on the board. Down in 11th place. Rear end slipped out there. And in doing so, that's kind of lost them time altogether through the tunnel. This isn't an amazing lap, and Whitson dives into the pits anyways. Fallen Monkeys has found half a second. Still a long way down for the fastest lap time at the moment. That might be good enough to get into the top 8 potentially, ahead of Mike Oxlong. Who is still, their best lap is on those medium tyres. Will they sacrifice track position or a good starting position just to get on those medium tyres? We'll see. As Fallen Monkeys flings the McLaren through and does indeed move up into 8th place. Good improvement there. Jav meanwhile finds 3 tenths in the first sector. As the Alpha Tauri of Vapor behind them about to start their outlap. As they look to find 7 tenths to get them back onto provisional pole. Neat and tidy so far. Vapor might want to back off as well as they're about to start their outlap. They do not want to be running into the turbulent there of the Haas car. So far, looks pretty good at the moment. Once again goes wide. I've seen there's a number of drivers really just understeering through the tunnel at the moment. I'm surprised no one's hit the wall yet, it must be said. The only one so far is Wild Dog earlier on. Jav then, to cross the line, moves up to 6th place then. Improves their position. Fures, meanwhile, on those medium tyres in 10th place. Synchro switching on to those soft tyres. We'll keep an eye on them in a minute. We saw Vapor pitting. Well, they were out on track earlier. Now they've gone back into the pits. Wesley now coming out as well. They're all starting to gear up now for another lap. All the monkeys will be back into the pits, I imagine, and in they go. So it will be one of the Alfa Romeos then. There's Rusty Oil Can. Keep an eye on them in a second. Jav is out. We did see them earlier. Now, where is that? That's through the chicane. There they are. That's a pretty hefty whack, actually. So I wonder if they just caught the curb there. And has that sent them into the barrier? Who knows? Either way, the Hasses really are on the back foot at the moment. Synchro still yet to set a lap time. And Jav crashing. Isn't that one of the predictions from Foul Fury? Part of his crystal ball. He's predicting a retirement before lap 7, wasn't he? So, Jav, that might be signs of what's to come for the race for the Haas driver. There's Westy. There's one of the AlphaTauris behind them. I think that's Whitson. I'm surprised Whitson's that close, to be honest. But they're both on outlaps, so Whitson can't be surprised if they lose time behind the Alfa Romeo here. This will probably be their last run, given we've got about 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. As Westy then would like to reclaim that provisional pole, but they are 1.2 seconds down. You can see a lot of the drivers in the pits already. Otto's retired, but Victor and Stanek will not get an opportunity here, so that 1:36.6 is the best time for Stanek. And whether it will be enough to claim provisional pole or not will be down to the drivers out on track. Westy, of course, wants to take back provisional pole for the race. You can see them really giving it everything as well as they approach the hairpin. Goes, oh, that's too wide. That is way too wide, and they'll lose time for that as well. And that might have just finished their chance, and they've lost a 10th in the middle sector. Westy will not be on pole, surely, unless they have a blitzing final sector, which is highly unlikely. Poor old Whitson behind. Might not be too happy either. Might have seen that happen and wishing the Aston Martin gets out of the way, but they're continuing on. Westy then, will they improve on that 5th place? I don't think a pole position here is likely as they go a little wide. They go up to 3rd place despite that hit. Whitson moves up to 4th. The checkered flag is out. And what we should really be watching here is Vapor. Vapor closest at the moment, only gaining a small amount in the 1st sector. They need 7 attempts to capture pole position here from Stanek. So far the Red Bull on course for pole here in Singapore. But this will be the final lap then for all drivers out on the grid. I believe it's an Alfa Romeo who'll be round first. I believe that's Rusty Oil Can. We'll see. Michael Fury is still on those 5-lap medium tyres, so surprising they haven't pushed, but we'll see what they're making of here. Mike Oxong as well has moved on to those soft tyres, as Oil Can remains in 14th place then. Next will come Darren R 20, and then of course Vapor. Vapor is absolutely giving it everything here to try and find an opportunity. Synchro has moved to 2nd place as well. Notice that as well. So good lap from the championship leader as Vapor does take provisional pole. Found 8.5 attempts then. And on pole position is the AlphaTauri driver as Fures moves to 12th place ahead of the Ferrari. Mike Oxong in the pits then. And I think we'll start on those medium tyres at the end. Not sure if they will or not. I think they're actually on the soft tyres. But Vapor then on pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix, ahead of Stanek and ahead of Vapor. Oh, sorry, not Vapor, that's Synchro. Apologies. Good lap at the end then from Vapor. Gave it everything and worked out 1:36.489. Great lap then from the AlphaTauri driver. So there's your top 10 then. Only Serrano on the medium tyres then. The rest on the soft tyres. Will Serrano have an advantage by doing so. Vapor then on pole ahead of Stanek, Synchro, Westy, Whitson, Victor, Otto in 7th, Jav in 8th, Hartman in 9th, and Mike Oxon rounds out the top 10. Then we've got Fallen Monkeys in 11th, ahead of Fures, Darren Alpha 20, and Rusty Orkan, and Wild Dog, who crashed on their qualifying run, starting from the back of the grid in 15th place. As we await to head into the 31 lap race then. So, looks to be a dry race here in the night time of Singapore. Can Vapor hold on to that pole position and take the victory? Or will Stanek or even Synchro stand in the way of the AlphaTauri driver? Definitely will be a difficult race for sure. For the drivers, it will be the boldest in terms of overtakes and strategies. Or we'll see what will happen. So we're underway then for the formation lap, and as I mentioned, top 10 all on the soft tyres except Sir Otto, who's on the medium tyres. And from 11 down with a free tyre choice. Fallen Monkeys on the medium tyres, as is Darren Alpha 20 and Wild Dog. But interestingly, the two Alfa Romeos on the hard compound tyres. Now that is rather interesting there. So the Alfa Romeos want to go long into this race. Maybe they're playing for a late safety car, I imagine. We'll see where they will get to. Looks like a very slow formation lap from Vapor. It's their prerogative. They can make the call on how slow or how fast they want it to be. See there the Red Bull weaving away in the background. Whether or not this will be a one-stop or a two-stop strategy, we'll see. We know how powerful fresh tyres can be. Only needs a few laps of a difference for the effects to be seen of it. Some cars weaving, some cars choosing to stay in a straight line. It's a fairly long lap here in Singapore, so you kind of wait a little bit to weave, because the last thing you want to do is overheat your tyres. At the same time, you don't want them to be too cold either. But definitely keep an eye out for safety cars and virtual safety cars, incredibly likely here in Singapore due to the close barriers. And I imagine the first lap will see some levels of contact. I'd be surprised if any of them get away really scot-free, as Vapor makes their way back onto the grid then. All 15 cars are actually fairly close to each other, so Vapor shouldn't hopefully be waiting too long to start the race. And if Stanek gets a good start here, they'll have the inside line into turn 1, which will be crucial for them. Wild Dog has already spun. Now they're stuck there. Now why is Wild Dog not moving? Wild Dog is just stuck there, and at the moment, because of that, we cannot get this race started. Now, what has happened to the Belgian driver? They are just stuck. Apparently the AO is not moving. Now that is rather interesting, and because of that, that will keep the drivers on the grid for a while. They are stuck at the moment. Wild Dog has no control of the car at the moment. Now what has happened here? Now because of that, the race cannot get started. You can see them all stuck on the grid. What will happen here then? Wild Dog, who has spun on the formation lap. And as a result, we are, well, looks like we've been stuck here for something. Now, I'm not 100% sure what has happened. Oh, no, we've gone. Okay. Well, we are underway. Vapor then gets off the line. We got stuck there. Apologies. That was... Oh, and the Mercedes is gone. That's Victor. What on earth? Sorry, it's just... Everything's happened so quickly. Did not see the lights at all. But Vapor then leads then from Stanek. Then comes Westy. Synchro losing out at the start to the Aston Martin. Jav has moved into fourth place ahead of Whitson. Almost runs into the back of their teammate actually as well, but loses the back end, and Whitson could come back up the inside here, but loses out on the momentum. Wild Dog then, the troublemaker, goes down the inside of the Alfa Romeo and actually makes contact with their teammate, Rusty Oil Can. But Wild Dog, the troublemaker, who spun on the formation lap, as making their way through the field. Cyril Hartman trying to find a way past R420, but it's Vapor then who has held on to the lead of this race. They'll all have very cold tyres, to say the least, and Victor is a long way from home in that Mercedes. And that is Darren R420, who has spun as well. The usual Ferrari tactics, as R420 makes their way back onto the field. Doesn't look like there's damage. Michael Fuhr is already picking up a 3-second time penalty. I think finally there's a bit of calmness going on now, as a Vapor leads the way with Stanek very close to them. No DRS, of course, until the end of the second lap. There is Synchro trying to pressurise the Aston Martin of Westy as well, as Vapor then leads by 7/10 of a second from Westy. Going wide there was one of the Williams, and I think that's Otto. Having a look then on the AlphaTauri of Whitson. AlphaTauri 1 and 6 at the moment, just behind the Haas of Jav at the moment. Remember, Feral Furious expected Jav to crash on lap 7, so we'll see how that will play out. Meanwhile, this is Synchro on Westy, very close here, and is using that ERS. And Westy will defend the out inside. Synchro will have to try and go around the outside, gets forced off, and I think that was always expected, wasn't it? So I don't think Synchro can complain there. Whitson. Oh, and that's contact. That's Otto. And one Williams having issues. The other one has had one as well, and has lost their entire front wing as they try and complete the world's longest 1,000,000-point turn. And gets back on, but a long way from home, as Victor finally gets a new front wing, but a long way down the field. Huge shame for Victor. They'll need a safety car at this point. There's the tyre strategy, so we expect it to be a two-stop strategy. Oh, as Westy loses the back end there, but nowhere for Synchro to capitalise on that little error. On board then with the championship leader. Just being very patient on the Aston Martin. Of course, they'll have DRS on the next run, as Vapor sets the fastest lap of the race. DRS, of course, will now be enabled. Not down this back straight, but down the next DRS zone it should be, as this is Whitson. Having a look then on the Haas of Jav. One Haas under pressure, the other one applying pressure. So Stanek will have DRS. Wild Dog ahead of Hartman and up into 8th place. This is Synchro once again. Will they get it close enough ahead? They're going to go down the inside here. And Westy just about holds them off as that happens as well. Meanwhile, Whitson can't get close enough to have a move on Jav at the moment. There is Mike Oxong waiting as well. Wild Dog up to 8th. The first one on those medium tyres. As their teammate is now into the pits. But you can see here the DRS helps them get close. But not close enough to make a full overtake. So Otto comes out on the hard compound tyres. As Stanek keeping Vapor at bay. I thought the gap was larger then. You saw originally it's about a second, but now up to half a second. Whitson is out. And we've got a virtual safety car. You can see debris all over the track. There is the AlphaTauri. They were applying pressure to Jav, weren't they? And they then ended up in the barrier. Now we've got a full safety car out then. No surprise whatsoever. It's inevitable around this track. But Whitson the first out of this race. And Vapor, the race leader, pitting as the Stanek. Vapor's got a 5-second penalty. As has Stanek, they've all sped into the pit lane. But both Stanek and Vapor have been given 5-second time penalties for that. Now that is hugely disastrous for them. They're all pitting, as you can see. So Westy stays out, takes the lead of this race. Where will they drop to? Stanek will come out probably down in, well, 8th place. And I think, now what has happened to Synchro? Synchro's been there for quite a while. That's held up Jav as well. Jav, front wing change for them. Not great. I wonder if Jav has had contact with the AlphaTauri then in that case, if there is a front wing change being made. So, Synchro down now in 11th place. They lost out massively under that. I wonder if Synchro got just held up by traffic coming out of the pits. Either way, that's not helped them or their teammate. Westy then leads this race from Wild Dog. Wild Dog who started last up to 2nd then. Furious up to 3rd. R420 in 4th. Oilcan in 5th. Fallen Monkeys in 6th. Those top 6 have not made a pit stop. Vapor the first to make a pit stop, as is Stanek, but they've both got 5-second time penalties for going too quick in the pit entry. Mistakes you don't want to be making, and that really will hurt them. Because we imagine they will be pitting once again. Those mediums should not be going to the end of the race. And even if they don't pit again, they'll still have 5 seconds applied at the end of the race. So that has really hurt them. Mike Oxong then ahead of Hartman. This also gives an opportunity then for Victor and Soto to catch back up the field. As Westy pit comes into the pits then, and I wonder if they've just left that too late on going to medium tyres. So Westy, I think, realised that they made an error by staying out. And they're going to drop to the back of the field as a result. Will they get out ahead of Otto? Otto, you can see there's coming through. And Otto has got ahead as well. Oh, and Westy has jumped the pit exit there. I don't think it's made much of a difference, to be honest, but it is a very tight angle. Pit exit there. You've got to be careful. And then we'll catch the back of the field, but Westy then, bit of an error then, not pitting on the first instance under the safety car. So now it is Wild Dog then who takes the lead of this race. Ahead of Michael Furious, who you can see there's got a 3-second time penalty. The other two are 5-second penalties for Vapor and Stanek respectively. Furious behind on the hard compound tyres, so they'll be going much longer. How quickly can the likes of Vapor and Stanek clear now the top 5? There isn't a huge difference, 4 laps tyre life difference between them, but they can make a huge difference across this track. Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, so Wild Dog's got plenty of time to back the field up and get themselves ready for the restart. Still keep an eye on lap 7 if Feral Fury's prediction comes true. Jav down in 11th place. Already been involved in contact earlier, I think, with Whitson. Whether or not that is the case or not, but you assume so when they're close together on the grid, and Jav has had to make a front wing change. But who knows? Wild Dog then. Keeping the field behind. Safety car has gone into the pit lane. Wild Dog biding their time, and they've chosen now. Good restart then from Wild Dog. And on lap 6 then, we are back under racing. And Darren R420 looks very close. Someone had a spin. That's Stanek. Stanek is facing the wrong way on the pit exit. Did they go a little too early? And did they lose the rear tyres as a result? Either way, that's hurt them. Vapor already up ahead of Fallen Monkeys then for 5th place. And Monkeys immediately in the barrier. And out they go. The second driver then to crash. And is that going to be another virtual safety car or safety car? Not quite sure, as there is R420 not under braking. Gets close, but not close enough to make a pass then. But 2 drivers out then. Stanek, though, the big shocker, down the back of the grid, as Vapor now is ahead of Rusty Orkan. So Vapor making their way quickly through these cars. Mike Oxong also now gets ahead of Rusty Orkan as well. So Orkan losing out 2 places at once. Remember, of course, they are on hard compound tyres, but might be swallowed up by the pack in doing so. Now Hartman trying to squeeze their way through as well. Not going to be in much room there. I'm trying to go around the outside of the hairpin. Not going to find much room there, must be said. Here is Hartman then, as they move ahead up into 6th place. And that is Michael Furious then, losing positions as R420 and Hartman goes off the track. So far nothing yet. They do bang wheels there, does the Ferrari and Mercedes. Darren holds on to 5th place for the time being. See Jav and Synchro switching positions as well. Synchro up to 9th now. All gone chaotic there, but Wild Dog with a 2.6 second gap out in front. Good stuff from them. R420 wants to get ahead of these Alfa Romeos as quickly as possible. Vapor's up into 2nd place now for the lead of this race. Been a very clean restart for them. They got through the pack very quickly. Hartman almost hits the barrier as they try and attack R420, who is attacking Michael Furious, to no avail, as Jav moves ahead of Rusty Oil Can. So does Synchro. Synchro trying to take on their teammate as well, and they do touch wheels there. Synchro broke way too late there. And there's contact there. The Alfa Romeo's in the barrier. I don't know if there was contact between them. We did see them bang wheels. Either way, that's them over and out. There's Stanek pressurising Sir Otto for, well, what is effectively last and last but one. It's all gone chaotic then. No DRS, of course, until the end of this lap. Stanek moves ahead of Sir Otto. Under braking, Hartman not able to get close enough then. 2 Hess cars behind. Sense a bit of desperation on Synchro as well, trying to get through the field. Kind of hurt them more than it's helped them, to be honest. And once again have to renegotiate past their teammate. so far, Michael Fura is holding up the whole field. You can see there's a huge gap between them and Mike Oksong. 5.4 seconds. Vapor now sets the fastest time of the race and is now 1.2 seconds behind as Darren has gone wide. As that allowed Hartman to get ahead. They are wheel to wheel with each other. Hartman going to go down the inside into turn 1. Darren's going to fight this one back, goes off the track in doing so. I think we'll have to give that up because they did have to go off the track to do so, but they're holding it down the line. And now Jav having a look as well, as Jav gets a 3-second time penalty. Has moved ahead though of Hartman. Hartman has really lost out there. As Jav now sizes up the Ferrari and goes down the inside, switches from one way to the other. And Jav moves ahead as well. You can see Synchro trying to go around the outside of Hartman as well. And I don't think that move has been made. Yes, it has been made. Apologies. Synchro ahead of Hartman and up to 7th place then. And we'll have the Ferrari to go ahead then. Westy gets a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane. They did that before under the safety car. Now they've pushed their luck. As this is Vapor on Wild Dog. Looked like they had a better exit. Wants to keep an eye on that. And Vapor reclaims the lead of this race. But they've got that 5-second penalty looming over them as well. Mike Oksong will be looking to get past the Williams next as well. So it's all going off here at the moment. Pedals all over the place at the moment as Synchro sticks behind the Ferrari for the time being. Mike Oksong then on the fresher medium tyres, chasing after Wild Dog, who has not made an official pit stop this race. Wild Dog doesn't have the DRS, Mike Oksong does. As Darren has repassed Synchro then. Has gone off the track, and once again Synchro says thank you very much. I'm going to come back through as Jav has made their way into the pits as well. Stanek fastest up of this race. As Jav has made a pit stop. This is Hartman once again trying to find a way around the inside of Darren R420. Once again not able to make a way through. And they do go around the outside there. That's a super move then. And with DRS then, will they keep ahead of the Ferrari? You imagine the answer is yes. And Hartman up to 6th place then. Very difficult to keep an eye on where everything is. Just action all over the place at the moment. Mike Oksong then behind Wild Dog. Synchro is behind Michael Flores. And Synchro backs out from a move there. Let's keep an eye on this for the time being, and then we'll go back to Synchro in a second. I think that one's going to be fairly... I think Oksong will be too far back. This one looks closer though. This is Synchro and Flores. Michael Flores has got enough momentum here. Will Synchro try and go around the outside? They brake later. The Alpha Man not giving up just yet, but eventually has to. Synchro moves up into 4th place then. But a long way back. 9.2 seconds from a podium position here. Hartman now trying to find a way past Michael Flores as well. Would have thought they'd be brave to go for a late lunge through the tunnel. Doesn't look like it, but Hartman's going to try and go around the inside of turn 20. And with the medium tyres and the superior grip they can do. And Flores goes straight into the pits anyways. Doesn't even fight that one any longer than they need to. The hard tyres really are becoming a struggle for pace. Westy picks up another 3-second time penalty. Westy's race has unfortunately gone downhill for them. As we watch then the Alpine of Mike Oksong. Are they going to go for a move down the inside? Just a little too far back on this occasion to make a move stick. Meanwhile, we watch Stanek here on Victor. They both have got DRS. Stanek's just a little too far back as well. But better exit though for the Red Bull. Still no way back through for them. Flores pits is will exit out in 12th place. Only 2 retirements so far as we enter, well, a third of the race at the moment. Felt like forever at the moment, but it's a very long track, as you can imagine. We've been behind the safety car for a while. Wild Dog gets a 3-second time penalty. Saw them go wide there, and track limits have played a factor. So Otto is ghosted. I think they left the session earlier. Stanek not able to find a way through. Stuck in that little DRS train behind Victor and Darren. Jav has lost out to Westy. Whether Jav made a mistake or not sure. Either way, down in plumb last now as Synchro sets the fastest lap of this race. 6.7 seconds behind. They are beginning to catch these two very quickly. And Mike Oxon needs to get past quickly. Stanek gets ahead of Victor and up into 7th place. Meanwhile, this is Oxong trying to get past Wild Dog once again. Just doesn't have the speed to go through ahead. And that is Jav out of the race. And they have crashed. And we've got another safety car deployed. That works perfectly for Synchro then, because that 6.7 gap then dissipates. And unfortunately for Vapor, they find themselves back behind the safety car once again. And will they choose now to serve that 5-second penalty? As well as Stanek, we shall see. But they'll be asking for a lot then, if they pitted now under the safety car. Wild Dog might take the advantage of it as well. Remember, they haven't pitted yet. Neither is Darren off for 20, and neither is Rusty Oil Can. So that might be a cheap pit stop for them. And oh yeah, it is Jav. Apologies. I just remembered the reason why it was so significant. Remember Farrell's prediction? He expected Jav to crash, but he expected Jav to crash on lap 7. We're on lap 11, so that prediction is wrong. Vapor fakes the pit stop there, but chooses to stay out. In comes Wild Dog. This one's understandable. But Vapor then choosing not to make their pit stop, another pit stop just yet. They're all staying out for the moment. Darren off for 20, I think, is coming in as well. This is fairly straightforward. It's a cheap pit stop for these guys who haven't made a pit stop yet. What tyre is that on? That's the hard tyres going on to Wild Dog. So Wild Dog, I presume, is on a one-stop strategy. That's medium tyres for R420. So that's a 2-stop. Victor out on the medium tyres as well. Otto gets off those hard tyres to move on to the mediums. So Vapor then remains in the lead. Now has Mike Oxon behind. And Jav in... sorry, not Jav. That's Synchro in 3rd place. I got the wrong cast there. Stanek moves up to 4th place then. Ahead of Hartman. Wild Dog will be a rather interesting one to watch then, because surely they'll try and go to the end of the race. Can they go to the end of the race? And if so, what pace will they have? As they catch up to the safety car. If Wild Dog can keep on tabs with those ahead, they could find themselves back in the lead of the race, for all we know. But only time will tell. So Wild Dog then presumably is on a 1-stop then. The rest will be 2-stopping. Interestingly though, Rusty Oil Can did not pit under that safety car. And remember, has not made an official pit stop yet. They're still on those hard tyres. The Rusty Oil Can choosing to wait just for the moment. Whether that's a good idea or not sure. Synchro will be very happy with the safety car. It's brought them right back into play on these top 2. Stanek as well, as Wild Dog has got ahead of Hartman, because Hartman is in the pits. Interesting call there to make it late. And that might be why front wing change for the Mercedes. So, looks like an error then. Potentially under the safety car. Might have just given themselves front wing damage perhaps. So they'll rejoin down in 12th place. but we should have enough time to catch back up to the pack. Vapor then, the pole sitter, leads them behind the safety car. Now, of course, top four certainly will have to make a pit stop again. With Vapor and Stanic's 5-second time penalty, what kind of gap can they create? And who will be the one to take advantage of it? Mike Oxong certainly should be. Oops. But what about Synchro as well, the championship leader? He's in a very good position at the moment. Everything working out so far for them. After a very messy, what looked to be a messy qualifying, but they're back where they qualified. There's the position gains. Wild Dog up to 5th place. After starting plumb last. Safety car coming in at the end of the lap. Rusty Orkan as well up to 8 places, but of course hasn't made a pit stop yet. And R420 as well. Up 6 places as well. There's Oxong then. Leads behind Vapor. Vapor can't go just yet. Safety car's still out on track. So they'll be waiting for a little bit. Vapor's gone. No. Yeah, Vapor's gone now. Vapor, well, they had an advantage, then slowed down. Be careful not to do that. Oh, Synchro did exactly what Stanik did. And falls to the back of the field. I said they were in a good position. All of that is all for nothing, really. R420 moves ahead of Rusty Orkan. As we're back under racing then, Vapor is under pressure from Mike Oxong, who's under pressure from Stanik. Wild Dog drops down to 5th place. But is challenging the Ferrari down the back straight then, and has moved sufficiently ahead as well. But Wild Dog's going to brake just that more later. Can they find a way through? The answer is no. Darren stays ahead for the time being, and Wild Dog in 5th place then. But huge drama then for the championship leader. Now down in 12th place. Oxong under pressure from Stanik. That is Otto. I think has had a moment. Dropped down a few positions. Someone I think has dropped even more positions. That is the Williams of Sir Otto. Oh, sorry, that's Wild Dog. Oh, and Wild Dog, what a shame for them. Whatever happened, they're down and a long way from home, as they'll need a new front wing. Huge shame for them. Would have been interesting to see where they would have been in this race on that one-stop strategy, but we won't see it now. As Darren R420 pressurising Static then. As we see that. Oh, and someone lost their front wing. I think it was Michael Fures. Someone broke very late then. As we've got an Alfa Romeo Mercedes. And it is Fures into the pits then. Broke a little too late. And straight into the back of the Mercedes. So now we've got 2 Mercedes pressurising 1 Alfa Romeo. Still hasn't made a pit stop as Rusty Orkan, and goes wide. So you can see they're losing grip here. And Victor might try and find a way round the outside. Yes, they do. They broke much later. And now Hartman in the sister Mercedes will try the same thing as well. And looks like that is done and dusted. Hartman ahead then, and Rusty Orkan lose out to the 2 Mercedes. There's 4 drivers in the pits, so both Williams having issues on the restart. Otto and Wild Dog pitting. And they'll be praying for another safety car, surely. Synchro, a lot of work to do then, as they're back in the points, as Otto gets a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit exit line. Same with Wild Dog. Both Williams do exactly the same thing. Stanik almost loses the back end. Can Darren R420 take advantage? The answer is, at the moment, no. And Wild Dog is out. And we've got a virtual safety car. Now Wild Dog, that's off the exit of the pit lane. Now I'm not 100% sure. That's a very unusual place to crash, whether or not Wild Dog's just lost it. Either way, we've got a virtual safety car this time, not a safety car. So, the race is now effectively neutralised. Will anyone make a pit stop? I don't think so. Well, either way, we're back under racing very quickly then. DRS now is enabled down this back straight. And second to fourth will have the benefit of that. See DRS then for Stanek. Mike Oxon doesn't have it. Hartman might have it on their teammate. The team Mercedes then switch positions. Hartman up to 5th place ahead of their teammate. These three stay in formation. Stanek, Darren and Oxon, Stanek and Darren. There we go. Get the right people. Oxon needs to get back into DRS range of Vapor to keep themselves away from any potential threat from the Red Bull behind. The Red Bull's got to be careful of the cars behind rather than just ahead of them as well, because Darren R420 is there waiting to pounce. We're only halfway into this race. Darren then pressurising the Red Bull. Mike Oxon just out of DRS range at the moment. See, they're just outside the second window. Stanek will want to get past this Alpine very quickly. Remember, of course, Vapor and Stanek still need to serve their 5-second time penalties as well. And we imagine they will be making a pit stop once again. Watch from Darren's perspective. Synchro pits then. Stanek goes a little wide here, and I tell you what, I think Darren might have an opportunity here. You can see they're using the ERS here. Will they find their way down the inside here? They are going to slightly brake later. That seemed like a half-hearted rugby tackle there from R420. Stanek did go wide, but didn't really commit to the move there, did the Ferrari. May not have had the confidence to break down the inside then. That has, however, released Mike Oxon for the time being. Darren looks the quicker of the two. You can see Hartman as well has caught the back of these guys now. So Hartman could be in contention as well. Westy is... Oh, and as Furious gets a penalty, Darren just runs straight into the wall there. Now, has that caused any front wing damage? On the outside, looks okay, but that won't have helped them. And I think they've hit the barrier again. And that's 2 hits then for the Ferrari. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's front wing damage. Them starting to lose ground slightly, and that's allowing Hartman to get up the inside of them. And Darren is into the pits, as is Stanek as well. These two go right into the back of each other. Stanek gets another 5-second penalty. Stanek was very slow off on the entry into the pit lane, and Darren runs straight into the back of them. They're serving that 5-second penalty then to Stanek, and that is strategic. On goes the new front wing and the hard tyres then for Darren. Otto gets a 3-second time penalty, so Stanek not only lost 5 seconds, but they're going to lose another 5 seconds. They're speeding in the pit lane anyways, and will drop down into 6th place. Although Michael Furious, you can see, is coming up to them as well, but I think it's just a little too far back from both of them. So Stanek in 6th place then, with another 5-second time penalty. That moves Hartman into the podium positions. As Darren R420 has lost out to Furious, and I'm not sure what's happened there. Either way, that's not worked out for them. Furious up to 7th place then on the medium tyres against Darren's hard tyres. Synchro, as you saw there, moved ahead of Otto and now is ahead of Westy and up into 9th place for them. But it hasn't been the cleanest race for them. They didn't have a clean race in Canada. They got a penalty for running into the back of another driver. And through their own error, they've lost out once again. And a long recovery road then for Synchro. Meanwhile, Hartman is after Mike Oxong then. So Mike Oxong, after relieved of the pressure from Stanek, now has got Hartman now behind them. As we've got a spinner, and it's a Ferrari, and it's Darren R420, and off comes their front wing again. And Darren's race really looked good. And it's gone south as a Stanix, who's got picked up another 3-second time penalty. That's 8 seconds worth of penalties then for them. As Oxong forces Hartman to go the long way round. But now down the inside, the Mercedes trying to find a way through. But Oxong holds out to that 2nd place. Vapor leads by 2.2 seconds. Otto ahead of Westy as well for 9th. And we imagine Vapor will pit. And when they do, they'll serve their 5-second time penalty. Mike Oxon, we imagine, will pit as well. Hartman, will they pit again? 5 up old medium tyres. Need to do 17 laps. I imagine that might be doable. Rusty Orkan still hasn't made a pit stop as well, down in 5th place. Going wide there is the Mercedes of Hartman. But all okay for the time being. Hartman would like to pass this Alpine as quickly as possible. But Hartman gets a 3-second time penalty. That's not ideal. That's not what they want. What they want is an overtake as Vapor then, the race leader, pits then. And Hartman going to go down the inside into turn 1 to take the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix. As Vapor comes into the pits and will wait 5 seconds before the AlphaTauri pit crew pits on those fresh medium tyres to take them to the end of the race. As Rusty Orkan has also finally made their pit stop as well. And I think Vapor will come out just in 4th place because you can see Stanek, who's setting fastest laps, making their way through. No, Vapor has lost out, I think. Vapor has lost out to Stanek. Stanek, pitting earlier, has got the undercut on the AlphaTauri driver. And now Vapor will have to catch Stanek all over again. But Stanek, of course, has got a 5-second penalty for themselves as well. So Hartman then leads this race from Mike Oxlong, who we imagine will be pinning shortly. Will Hartman go to the end of the race then? Could be a Mercedes 1-2 at the moment. You can see such a huge gap between them as well. 24.1 seconds covers the gap between Stanek and the top 3. I think Mike Oxlong will now be best to make that pit stop now, if they were to make a pit stop, because you saw the face then of Stanek and could risk undercutting the Alpine driver and possibly the Team Mercedes as well if they pit again. In comes the Alpine, exactly as on cue. So this will be interesting to see. The bottom right hand corner, the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri just coming through turns 19 at the moment. So this will be a very tight one for Oxong to get ahead. Out comes the Alpine. Stanek is just coming through, turns 23 now, down the pit straight. I think Mike Oxong could lose out as well. And I think Stanek has got ahead. Yes, they have. Will Mike Oxong lose out to the AlphaTauri? Yes, they will. Mike Oxong has been undercut by both of these drivers. Synchro remains in 6th place at the moment. So it's a Mercedes 1 and 2 at the moment, ahead of a Red Bull. Would you believe it? This set looks like F1 2020 from the looks of things. Furious pits then for the soft tyres. As Otto back into the pits once again. They've had a chaotic race, haven't they? And Hartmann, crucially, 3 seconds clear of Victor with that 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Vapor's closed that gap to Stanek down to 2.2 seconds. So that fight's not over yet. Otto gently making their way out of the pit lane. Down in plumb last, we've got 11 drivers left as Hartmann starts lap 22 of this Grand Prix ahead of their teammate. Question is, will they go to the end of the race? I imagine they will try to, because if they pit now, they're going to end up behind 3rd, 4th and 5th. So this might be a intriguing end to this race between these Mercedes. We will have to wait and see. Vapor sets the fastest lap of the race. 1:39.7. They're after Stanek. What Vapor can't afford to do is spend too much time fighting Stanek, because that will mean they'll lose time trying to catch those Mercedes, who we believe will stay out. The gap seems to have stabilised now. Vapor, though, has dropped below 2 seconds to Stanek. Furious gets another 3-second time penalty. More warnings for the Alfa Romeo driver. But Vapor really is beginning to close. Mike Oxong as well will try and do the same on these two. Stanek on 3-lap older tyres. Vapor's tyres are 2 laps fresher. But Vapor looks to have good pace on Stanek. Hartmann now 4 seconds clear of their teammate. They're both being caught by Stanek and Vapor at the moment. Oxong trying to catch these two as well. Lap 23 of 31. Will Stanek run out of laps? 18 seconds then covers that gap to the first of the two Mercedes. Then 22 seconds back to the second one. And with what? 8 laps to go. That's a big task for Stanek, particularly on top of the fact they've got a 5-second time penalty. Hartmann, of course, has got a 3-second one themselves, but got to be careful. Vapor now 1.2 seconds behind Stanek. Vapor is really closing on this Red Bull. So far, not able to close in enough to make a challenge for the final spot on the podium. Hartmann has lost a bit of time to their teammate as well. There's the team Mercedes. Looks all calm out in front for them. We've got a yellow flag, and that's Stanek out. Stanek has lost out. We've got a safety car again. Now, where has that happened? Stanek then. I think they've just broke too late then. And gone straight to the barrier. What a huge shame then for Stanek. And I tell you what, that's hurt the team Mercedes. That gap dissipates then. But they might have an opportunity here to pit under the safety car. Hartmann's straight in. And I imagine Victor will join them, even though they might lose out due to time. But this is perfect then, because the Alpha Tauri just coming through turn 20 and 21 under reduced time. Soft tyres go on. Victor double stacking as well. I'll tell you what, that's not too bad for them. Vapor pits as well. They're all on the soft tyres. Oxong will pit as well. So Mercedes do get a free pit stop, but that gap closes up. Stanek, I think, will be kicking themselves for that one. They're all going on to the soft tyres, as I mentioned. Synchro up to 5th place, makes a pit stop. Good opportunity for some points here for the championship leader after a chaotic race. Musty Orkan stays out. I think we'll get ahead of Synchro as a result of that. But they are on the medium tyres. Furious into the pits once again, despite the fact their soft tyres are only 1 lap old. Potentially want some fresher ones. Westy, I imagine, will pit as well. R420 pits, Westy pits. Otto, I think, will probably stay out, to be honest. Who knows? So it's Mercedes 1 and 2 at the moment. Our 3rd safety car of the race. As we're on lap 24 of this race, and with a very spread out field at the moment. 10 cars left running. And it's Hartmann who leads from Victor, with Vapor, the pole sitter, now in 3rd place and can eye up those 2 Mercedes. Neither of which will make it easy. Darren R420's gone into hard tyres, interestingly. Now, I'm not quite sure why, but R420 is going to be incredibly vulnerable down the straight then from those behind who have the fresher grip on the soft tyres. Maybe hoping the soft tyres will burn out and they can take advantage later on. Safety car going through once again. As well, with that safety car, it's also served that 5-second time penalty. Sorry, no, that's Stanek. Stanek, apologies. Ignore me. It's one of those days, isn't it? Ignore that. It was Stanek, but Stanek has, well, technically not served that 5-second penalty, but has got rid of it. But by DNFing. Hartmann, though, with that 3-second penalty, that's one to watch as well. If the pack stays close to them, Hartmann's going to lose potentially positions, but their aim will be to power down and basically leave the pack behind and hope that Victor keeps the other 8 cars behind them. R420's gone back into the pits to get off those hard tyres, and rightly so. There is such a big gap then between them. As in, there is Westy's just coming through. It's turn 4. The rest of the field is coming through the middle sector, so bit of a gap then between them. R420 also gets a front wing change as well. It's about half a lap behind. Up 25 of 31, 7 laps to go, including this one. 3rd safety car then, with Hartmann leading from Victor, and then from Vapor. Good opportunity here for Mercedes to score a good handful of points. I think we will be behind the safety car for another lap. This will give an opportunity for Darren to catch up the field as well. So the one anomaly I can see is Rusty Orkan on those medium tyres. They're up to 5th place, but with everyone on soft tyres behind them, I think they'll be on the defensive left, right and centre really. But they'll hope for as many laps behind the safety car as they can. It's giving Darren the opportunity to catch them up the field. I thought Darren was going straight back into the pits then, but they're staying out. And if things were to stay as they are, Synchro will be extending their lead further in the championship. Remember, they already have a 43-point lead in the championship, and Marco not in this race is more of a benefit for Synchro as well. Didn't mention that earlier on, but Marco not being here gives an opportunity for Synchro to score points. Also Vapor as well. Vapor in third in the championship at the moment. Significantly beneficial for them. Darren has caught the back of the field up, and I wouldn't be surprised if the safety car comes in at the end of the lap. You see there Victor and Vapor getting very close to each other. Safety car is in at the end of this lap, and we keep our fingers crossed this will be the last one, so we can get 5 laps of good racing. Can Hartman overcome that 3-second penalty to win the race? Will Victor spoil the fun for their teammate? Will Vapor, the pole sitter, take the victory as well? A lot can go on in these final 5 laps. Marco's going to try and get Synchro. Well, we'll see. Got plenty of races to do so. For now, though, we're going to get back under the racing. Hartman has gone early, and Darren Arthur 20 gets a 3-second penalty already. Here we are then, lap 27. We're back under racing. It's Hartman from Victor, and Vapor already trying to find a way through as Rusty Orcan under pressure from Synchro as well. So then Michael Fury has stepped out as well to have a potential look as well. And we've already got a spinner, and that's Darren Arthur 20 again. Down the back straight, we'll keep an eye on them because Vapor is challenging the first of the Team Mercedes then. Vapor down the inside then and is ahead, but I tell you what, Victor's not giving this up. They are still wheel to wheel, and Victor so slow through the corner, and that has allowed Mike Oxon to get through as well, and Victor loses 2 places in the period of 2 corners, and Vapor then can now go and challenge Hartman as Synchro moves ahead of Rusty Orcan as well for 5th place. And Vapor doesn't really need to take risks here, as long as they stay in second. With Hartman's 3-second penalty, as long as they can keep within that 3-second window, that's good enough for them. As Oxon will also be challenging as well, already up right on the back of Vapor. Mercedes 1-2 dream ends very quickly. On board with the Alpine then. Rusty Orcan, as you imagine, is dropping down the field. Under pressure from Westy now in 7th. Meanwhile, Mike Oxon then, as Hartman sets the fastest lap of the race. No DRS, of course, till the end of this lap. Gap up to 2 seconds, so Hartman really is going for it. Otto behind this little train. Otto doing a good job to be in the points as Darren back into the pits once again. But still in the points in 10th place. Westy stuck behind Rusty Orcan. How long can the Alfa Romeo hold on for? Gap now 1.7 between those two. Keeping on that gap. And we'll keep an eye on this gap as well between Oxong and Westy as well. Or Oxong and Vapor. Westy's nowhere near this battle, to be honest. Definitely been a very long race, to say the least. But that's what you get on this track. That's it. Oil can. Westy's got a 3-second time penalty. You saw them just run wide. Almost off the track there. Oxong starting to drop back. Vapor keeping with where they need to be. Hartman's got 3 more laps to find 3 seconds. Synchro fastest out of the race. Westy has spun and lost their front wing as well for good measure. They're going to keep going. And I wonder if that was intentional from Westy. They either tried to keep going foolishly or that was an intentional crash, not sure. I don't think it was intentional, but I'm surprised they tried to carry on rather than going into the pits there. Not 100% sure either way. Vapor taking a bit more time out of Hartman. Things stand at the moment. Hartman will drop down or won't even be on the podium. 3 seconds worth, 2.6. Oh no, they might just be ahead of their teammate. It'll be nip and tuck. But Hartman here needs to find as much time as they can. Victor trying to keep on the back as well. Synchro could still be up for a podium as well, as they've joined into this scrap for 3rd place. All behind the Alpine of Mike Oxong for the moment. Or as you can see there, Victor losing the back end slightly. They'll be doing everything they can to keep the Haas of Synchro behind. DRS will be enabled now for these drivers. And Synchro looks much closer than Victor does to Mike Oxong, because they'll all have DRS on each other. Synchro's advantage here might be null and void, really. Just need to keep it as consistent as they can. As you can see, yeah, they both have DRS, and Synchro can't really find a way through. They've also got no ERS either. Meanwhile, Vapor closing up to the back of Hartman. That gap really has gone now for them. And whether or not Hartman's just made a mistake here, not sure. Either way, Hartman under a lot of pressure here. Vapor at the moment is looking on course to win the race, but I think Vapor would like to win off track. Westy has left the session. We've lost 6 drivers, down to 9 out of the 15. Synchro still stuck behind Victor. Can't find a way through, and at the moment, I said Hartman could be on the podium. At the moment, as things stand, Hartman will drop down to 5th as things stand, so their teammate will be on the podium in their place. As we enter into lap 31, and this is why time penalties are crucial. They can make or break a race here. As we enter the final lap of this race, will anyone make a pass here? Synchro doesn't look close enough. Victor keeping on the back of Mike Oxong then. What about Vapor? Will Vapor try and find a way through? They're going to get through anyways. DRS enabled for the Alpha Tauri. See Hartman's using the red light here, and Vapor not taking any risk there, rightly so. These 3 also not taking any risks. Saw their Victor going wide. Furious gets another 3-second time penalty. Synchro was pushing the Mercedes along then. But it's certainly been a chaotic Grand Prix. May not have been the most action-packed one, but it's had thrills, spills and everything in between. 3 safety cars in total. That seems to be a running theme here for Division 3 as Vapor almost runs into the back of the Mercedes. Got to be careful as DRS is enabled. Keep an eye on this gap though. This will be the more crucial one. And I think that's all the... Unless any of them make an error, I think this is how it will stay. But for Hartmann, despite the fact they'll finish the race in first, they'll drop down due to penalties. And as things stand at the moment, they will drop down to 5th place behind Synchro. But Hartmann, for what it's worth, was a good race. They looked in control and have taken advantage of safety cars and had good pace all throughout. Hartmann then will cross the line first, but it's Vapor who takes the race victory here in Singapore ahead of Mike Oksong. Hartmann does hold on actually to a P3 position just ahead of their teammate Victor. Synchro in 5th ahead of Otto, Rusty Orkan, Michael Furious, 2 Alfa Romeos 7th and 8th. Darren Arthur20 will finish in 9th place and in the points. But Vapor then, the pole sitter, winning the Grand Prix. Hartmann just about holds on to a podium place. That was very close. You saw there the gap between those two. Mike Oksong will be happy as well in 2nd place. Synchro, not the best race for them, but still scoring good points to help in their championship battle. Driver of the day, Mike Oksong, good one. Good stuff there, must be said. There's your race winner. Very well driven. Had very good solid pace throughout, to be honest. And a thoroughly well-deserved victory here in Singapore. Had to go for a few frills and spills to get that win, but they get it nevertheless. So then, here's a final rundown then of the race results as we wait for them. Vapor wins the race from Mike Oksong. From Hartmann then, just about holds on to that podium position with that 3-second time penalty. Victor, 4th place. Synchro, 5th and fastest lap for them. Extra points for them. Otto, despite such a crazy race for them, 5 pit stops for them, but they finished in 6th place. Rusty Orkan only made 1 pit stop and finished in 7th. Furious in 8th. Darren Arthur20 made 6 pit stops in total and 9th, and the final of the runners. Westy, Stanek, Wild Dog, Jav, Fallen Monkeys and Whitson retiring from the race. Westy actually does still qualify for the race, albeit 4 laps down, so whether or not they'll score points or not sure. I imagine the answer is no. But that is it then. One more race then before we have a break for the week, and that's in Bahrain next week alongside the F1 race. And we see the 2022 cars race for the first time. But until then, that is it from us. Congratulations to Vapor on the race victory. And we will see you all next week for the Bahrain Grand Prix. In the meantime, Division 2 is underway and Division 1 will start in about 25 minutes time. So definitely tune in to both of those. Thank you all so much for watching and take care. Bye.